a recap for April 6th. Okay, so this trade, I was ambulance trade. What's the word for it? Ambulance chasing, I guess, because I was watching the stock, waiting for the second dip for the reversal, and was on my phone, away from my computer as it started to pull up and break out. So I was waiting for it to start heading above VWAP, and it did so while I was away from my computer. So I hurried up and rushed in, even though I shouldn't have. Just as the stock was coming back down. Anyways, I was late to the trade, so I should have just had let it go. And then, because I'm in a rush to get in, I buy too many shares. I'm in, I think, 500 shares, when I should have been in maybe 200 at this point, 1 to 200. The original plan was to catch it off of double bands, off of not the VWAP, but this EMA right here, and I should have got in much sooner. Or got in exactly as the stock breaks out. Since I got out late, on top of that, large size, I was pretty much screwed from the jump. I gave it plenty of room too, on top of that, so this was a large loss. I mean, once I got in, I did try to reduce my size if the stock got up almost to my break even, which it never did. Well, I got close to it, but it didn't get back to the price I wanted to unload about half, so I could feel more comfortable. So once it got to this level, I just exited. Not a good play. I butchered this. The setup is average setup, C. Execution was failed on that. My entry, D. The overall trade was a D. I was chasing this the entire time. I bought too many shares. I gave it probably too much room. I didn't get a good entry. And my emotions were out of control on this one. So let's see what I traded. What else? Okay, so this one, this wasn't too bad. SBFM. I entered on the bounce of the 9. At the time, to me, it kind of looked pretty solid. And once we failed to make a higher high or come close to the previous high, that gave me a bit of pause. And then I saw these two big red candles right here, this one and this one, and I just knew trade was done. Stock, I'm thinking the stock had one run in it for the day, and that was it. So as the stock starts to hit below the 9, I just go ahead and exit, cut my losses. That turned out to be a mistake, but I should have probably just kept it on, since it was actually holding the 9. But that's what I struggle with. I'll be trying to recognize the signs early in these type of stocks so I can get out. with smaller losses versus trying to give the stock enough room to work. Anyways, set up on this C execution, fail, entry, C, overall trade, C minus, because of the price action just wasn't good. But anyways, once the stock seemed to hold the 90 EMA, I decided to get in on this candle. And since I'm thinking I got in a little bit late on this one, this trade, I figure if I get in here, I got a better entry, more in line with how I would trade this stock. Plus the 9 is still actually holding, so it seemed like it was prime to rip up, and it actually did. It goes up, and my target, my initial target or first partial would have been 775, but soon as it hits 775 or 774, it just flushes down in less than a second, which was unfortunate. So I didn't really have time. I should have used my a limit order just to ensure that I get out. I would have been up a pretty decent size too, but it just didn't work out. So that's that. I came down. I just knew it was over. I wasn't going to waste any time. That this was a pretty good indication, especially after these two candles. This was a pretty indication that the trade stock is done. We make a double top, and I figured we're going to sell off the rest of the day, which we pretty much did. And yeah, so the rate the stock, I would give it a D plus C minus for setup, A for B minus for entry, and execution, fail, overall trade, C. So that's that. What else do we have? Oh, SQ. SQ was the first trade for me. I had my support level drawn a little bit higher, and so once it broke below that, I decided to get in. But after I redrew my support line, you can see it found strong support about 125, and I felt like I should have exited here, but I was really trying to be patient and allow the VWAP to reject it. But I pretty much knew this was going to reverse. I originally thought that the stock was going to continue lower as we broke below. We started making new lows and broke below all this nonsense right here. I figured a 20 EMA VWAP would be resistance the rest of the way, and it started to look that way. So this bounce didn't really give me any reason for concern. But once it started holding again, that's when I started to get a little bit worried. And then we break out, confirming above the 20 EMA, and at this point I'm really thinking I should just go long. I think there's going to be real strong support the rest of the way here, and I should just reverse my trade. But I'm working on try and just allow my trades to work out. And so I just stuck to my plan, and it ended up stopping me out for a pretty sizable loss with 200 shares for my small account. So yeah, I was to grade the trade. My setup was probably a D, because it may not have ever set up. I have my support level a bit higher, so had I drawn it where it needed to be, it would have never set up. So I give it D on that one. Execution A or pass. Entry, I don't even know. D. Overall trade, I should have never been in it, but I give it a D plus. That's it for that, and lost pretty big, $1,400. That's huge, and I actually could have made a good portion of that back just on this trade, but I wasn't fast enough. I didn't set my limit order, but next time I'll go ahead and do that. But that's it for today.